Hi and welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to take you guys through one of my sketchbooks which I use as an experimental book where I draw and I paint what I feel like, things that I want to teach somebody, and even things for YouTube. So let's go ahead and figure out what all is there inside my sketchbook. So to start with, I'm going to talk a little bit first about my sketchbook. This is a 300 GSM cold pressed sketchbook. It has about 20 sheets and I got it from this store called Ananda Stationery. So let's start. Here's the first one. I remember making this as a quick sample when I was teaching art. So I do a lot of online classes where I teach people how to do watercolor painting, acrylic painting. So this sketchbook was part of that particular phase where I always end up making a little bit of samples before I teach art. So this was an interesting one that I had created, a nice teapot and a couple of teacups. So here's another one. These are some of the swatches, I think, of this particular painting. And this is another kind of a kettle, but with black outline. So in the earlier one, I had experimented without creating an outline, and in this one, I decided to experiment with outline. You can also see that this is a little grainy. So that's the texture that you get with cold press. Here are two smaller paintings that I tried out again when I was teaching. So this was a small scene where I was just looking out of in terms of like what composition works really well. Should I keep the boat in the center? Should I move it a little aside? And then the tree which is falling. So a lot of images have been taken from Unsplash, where I take a really beautiful image or a photograph basically, and then I convert it into a painting in my own style. This is another one which I created a sample. So when I also create samples, sometimes I end up using watercolor paints which are of medium quality because I just want to test out a few things. And when I'm teaching in class, I use different kinds of watercolor brands. Here's another crazy one. So to talk a little bit more about sketchbooks, sketchbooks I think are a place where you can just go crazy. Like if I see this is an overload of colors, everything is too bright, but that is what I found out after I made the particular painting. So making this kind of a painting or a sample one really helps me to understand whether this works. It's not necessary for you to do it in an A5 size, it is too big for experimenting. I think an A6 is a very good size to start experimenting with. So this was one of those experiments that I had done. Here's another one. I do like this because I've tried over here not to use a black outline, and I tried to use a darker color outline for the hat, for the hair, and then the body and the features, and I'm quite happy about that. Here are some sketches that I was trying out for the different shapes of the nose, the lips, and the eyes. And I finally ended up with this. Here is another spread. So this was, I think I've written over here saying class. So this was again a very quick wash that I have done. It doesn't have a lot of details in it in terms of the number of layers of paint that I do. Normally I do a lot of layers of paints in watercolors. This one has very less, more again for the composition. This again, I think I've mentioned over here saying class. So again, a quick composition, very, very rough illustration. In fact, just to get an idea of the colors if they are working, the composition if it's working. Here are a couple of more. I remember trying this out also in gouache, and this also I think I tried it in gouache. This was one monochrome that I was trying out. I like this. This is again like a monochrome, except that I've done an outline over here. This is one of my favorites. I did not use an outline on this, and I tried to just work around with the darker and the lighter shades. And so I messed up a little bit, I think, with the light. But I like the flow of this. Like I think the light is coming from this side on the chair, but my shadow is this side. So a little bit messy over here and there. But I like the use of colors. It's all very subdued. And I was trying to draw this out in a couple of things. This is an interesting one. Right now it's got a little dirty because of the pencil marks from that side. This, I have a tutorial of painting this on my YouTube channel, so I'll probably link it up in the description. I'll add it so you can go and paint along with me for this. I really like this. I enjoyed painting this a lot. So this is swatch sheet of some color that I was sampling. So on my channel you would notice that I do a lot of reviews and unboxing of different art supplies. So this was for one of the art supplies, and I think I made this with this particular one. I'm not able to recollect which one, and I'm not so happy with this, but so birds are something which I find hard to paint. This is a really funny rooster. This was made, I think, quite a while ago. I remember making a rooster recently, and this is my recent rooster. So from here to here, I think I've come quite a long way. So it's nice to have sketchbooks like this, because it gives you the freedom to make mistakes, and then you learn from them over time. I'm very happy with these two. Very detailed samples is what I made. This was also for class. I love how the tree has come. You can see there are so many details over here. You can notice the depth, and also this barn is so beautiful, the barn cottage. And this patio, I love this one. I remember being so happy when I painted this, because these are the kind of places that I like being in. So when I paint things like that, it makes me very happy. This is another corner of a house. I enjoyed painting this because in this I was experimenting line art with mapping nib. This is a style that I do a lot. But at the same time, in some areas I didn't do the outline, like the brick wall. It kind of got messed up over here because it's not going in perspective. Because my room is basically like this, so ideally my brick walls should have come parallel in this way, parallel to this line over here, but it's gone this way. So a little perspective mistake, but that's what this helped me to understand. So when I'm teaching, it helps me to correct that mistake. So I know that if I have done it, my students would, or anybody else who's doing it, it's going to be very easy for you to make a mistake like that. So don't be too hard on yourself if you do it. I still didn't throw this painting away. I really like it, so I decided to enjoy my mistake and learn from it. This is an interesting one. I was trying to experiment what happens if I want to show just an illumination of light in one side. So this should have been darkened a lot more. Basically the idea is there is a light on over here and then there's no lights on this side. So in isolation, I think it looks that way, but because the grass wasn't too darkened, I think kind of like a hit or miss over there. These are again some interesting ones. I love the swimming pool, so I had made a very quick sketch of this scene. Again, this is more of a very fast wash. There are probably just 2 layers that I've used, or it's more like wet on wet, where I've just used a couple of layers. I let them blend in. This helps me to prep myself for class. Another beach painting. I just love going to the beach. This again was a prep for class. And this was a very funny painting. It makes me laugh every time I see it because this is so messed up. There is, the colors are so chalky, the painting is not very nicely done, and I think I was not in a very happy mood when I did this. Here is a sketch which I never completed painting, but I love this sketch. So this is like a nice, like a van, and then it's in the woods, so there are some trees over here. So I think if I paint it, it'll look really good. So again, another ideation. These are something that I really like. You can see the details in them. I have experimented in this quite a lot with leaving a lot of white space. That's what I wanted to do. So to bring out a contrast in terms of the colors versus the background. Love these individual pieces. And then I tried to do the same style by bringing a composition together. Let me know which painting of mine is your favorite in this. The sketchbook is a complete experimental sketchbook. I think these are the same paint. These are, I guess, from Delaroni. I guess the other set. Yeah, this is from Delaroni or Daniel Smith. I think this is from Daniel Smith, yes. So I think this is their tertiary color set. And I try to paint this with that. I think it'll look nicer if I use an outline, but I still like it this way. This was, I guess, another one. Oh, this is with the Dom's watercolor pens. So I think from here on, I started using this sketchbook to do unboxing and reviews of a lot of art supplies in terms of watercolors that I was getting. The watercolor pens look really nice. I first thought these are watercolor tubes or cakes. So happy to see it. This here is Dom's watercolor tubes and palette shaped watercolors. Okay, this is also from the watercolor tubes. Nice. So what happens is it also helps me to understand what supplies I have and how I can use them further. This is from the Camel Artist watercolor cakes and I made a quick painting with that. I'm not sure which painting is with what. This could have been with, I think, the Dom's watercolor tubes. Yes. So this artwork was done with the Dom's watercolor tubes. This one was done with another palette. And with the Artist water cakes of Camel, I made this. This is such a cute one. I remember making this. It was a fun one. And when I do like these unboxing and reviews of student grade and budget-friendly art supplies, I'm sometimes quite amazed with the quality of pigments which is there. In Dom's, I've always felt that. This is another one. I don't know which brand this is right now. I remember making these and being quite happy with the end result. This was an experiment I was trying where I created a heart shape and I was doing wet on wet. I just like dropped in all the colors and let it just dry out and see what the final effect will look like. Here's another set that I was experimenting with and a very beautiful painting that I made. So I had made this painting even earlier, a couple of years back when I was teaching art, and I took that image again because I love the colors, the bright yellow wall and then this very beautiful window and this teal color. So I love this combination, so I remember making the same thing again. This was, yes, I remember this one. I was experimenting with the Montmartre paint cups and just made a very quick wash to check how the cups are. This is the Dom's 24 color set, yes. And I made a very nice pumpkin. This is, I think, such a fun one. I had a great time making this painting. Dom's is always such a fun one to work with. So basically this entire sketchbook has been full of experiments, from teaching, from me learning, unboxing, reviewing, figuring out how different kinds of things work, and I think I've been super duper happy with this particular sketchbook. The feeling of starting a new sketchbook is always very scary. You keep thinking that you have to make your best art, but it's not true. All you need to do is just have fun and experiment, create all kinds of things. Even if things get messed up like this, it's okay. If things are slightly incomplete, that's also okay. Just keep trying. And what it's going to help you with, when you come to an end of a sketchbook, you would feel very happy. It will make you feel very satisfied. And when you go through the entire sketchbook, anytime you don't have any motivation or you're bored, you're feeling a little dull, just go back to your sketchbook. Just look at things that you have made over time. So this sketchbook I think I've had for about 2 years right now. So I started it 2 years ago and I moved on to another sketchbook. Then I came back to this, and it shows me where I have grown, what are things I tried and how my mindset was at different times. So I hope you had a fun time today in joining me for my sketchbook tour, and let me know in the comment section what other things you would like to know from me regarding art, and I will see you soon for the next video. Bye bye.